Adolescence and puberty. Learning objectives. Adolescence. Puberty. Changes at puberty. Secondary sexual characteristics in human beings. Hormones. Role of hormones in initiating reproductive functions. Reproductive phase of life in human beings. Menstrual cycle. Sex chromosomes and sex determination. Myths and taboos regarding reproduction. Reproductive health. Hormones other than sex hormones. The human beings can reproduce by giving birth to babies only after a certain age because their reproductive systems start working only after a certain age. We have learned how human beings reproduce by giving birth to babies. Babies grow and become children. Children grow further and become adolescents. And finally, adolescents grow and become adults. It is only after growing up to a certain age that humans are able to reproduce. Here, we will learn about the changes which take place in a human male body and a female body after which a person becomes capable of reproduction. In other words, we will learn about the changes which take place in a boy's body and in a girl's body after which they become capable of reproduction. We will also discuss the role played by hormones in initiating the working of a male, boys, and a female, girls, reproductive systems, and make them fit for the process of reproduction. Growth in a human being. Adolescence. Growing up is a natural process. Growth begins from the day a baby is born. A baby grows and becomes a child. A young human being below the age of full physical development is called a child. It is the hormones which bring about changes that make a child grow into an adult. When a child crosses the age of 10 years or 11 years, there is a sudden spurt in his or her body growth which becomes noticeable. The rapid changes which take place in the body from this age onwards are the part of growing up. These changes indicate that the person is no longer a child but he or she is on the way to becoming an adult. A mature human being who is fully grown and developed is called an adult. The transitional period of physical and mental development which occurs between childhood and adulthood is called adolescence. This is a period of life in human beings when a person is neither a child nor an adult. In most simple words, the period of life between childhood and adulthood is called adolescence. Adolescence is the time when a lot of changes take place in the bodies of boys and girls which make their reproductive systems mature. We can now define adolescence as follows: the period of life of a person when the body undergoes a lot of changes leading to reproductive maturity is called adolescence. Some of the changes which take place in boys during adolescence are: facial and body hair grow, voice deepens, and testes start to make sperms. And some of the changes which take place in girls during adolescence are: breasts grow, ovaries start to release eggs or ova, and menstruation, monthly periods, begin. Adolescence usually begins around the age of 10 or 11 years and lasts up to 18 or 19 years. The period of adolescence, however, varies from person to person. In girls, adolescence may begin a year or two earlier than in boys. A person who is in the process of growing from a child to an adult is called an adolescent. An adolescent can be a boy or a girl. Between the ages of 10 or 11 years and 18 or 19 years, the rapidly growing children are called adolescents. Since the period of adolescence covers the teen years, 13 to 19 years, therefore, adolescents are also called teenagers. The human body undergoes many changes during adolescence. These changes mark the onset of puberty. Puberty. Puberty is the period during which adolescents reach sexual maturity and become capable of reproduction. In other words, puberty is the time when adolescents become sexually mature. Although a baby is born with a full set of reproductive organs, male or female organs, these organs do not function during the first 10 or 12 years of life. Under the influence of hormones produced in the body, the reproductive organs become active at the time known as puberty. In other words, the reproductive systems of humans, boys and girls, start functioning at the time called puberty. At puberty, sex hormones, or gametes, begin to be produced due to which the boys and girls become sexually mature. The period during which adolescent boys and girls reach sexual maturity and become capable of reproduction is called puberty. In other words, after attaining puberty, an adolescent, boy or girl, becomes capable of having a baby. Puberty is a period of several years in which rapid physical growth, or rapid body growth, occurs leading to sexual maturity. In fact, puberty is the time when a child's body starts changing into an adult's body. Puberty tends to start earlier in girls, females, than in boys, males. Generally, girls attain puberty at a lower 10 to 13 years while boys reach puberty at a comparatively higher age of 12 to 14 years. At puberty, many changes occur in the bodies of boys and girls. In both boys as well as girls, there is a rapid increase in the rate of growth, height, etc. during puberty. Puberty is marked by the development of secondary sexual characteristics in boys and girls, such as growth of facial hair and deeper voice in boys, and development of breasts and start of menstruation in girls. The most significant sign of puberty in girls is the beginning of menstruation, or monthly periods. The various changes which occur in boys and girls during puberty are as follows. Changes in boys. Changes in girls. 1. Hair grow on the face of boys, in the form of mustache and beard, and on chest. Breasts develop and enlarge in girls. 2. Voice deepens in boys. It becomes low-pitched voice. Voice becomes shrill. 3. Testes start to make sperms. Ovaries start to release eggs, or ova. 4. Testes and penis become larger. Menstruation, monthly periods, begin. 5. Chest and shoulders of boys broaden, become wider. Ovaries, oviducts, uterus and vagina enlarge. 6. Body becomes muscular, due to the development of muscles. Hips of girls broaden, become wider. Extra fat is deposited on hips and thighs. 7. Hair grow in armpits and in pubic regions, genital area, between the thighs. Same as in body. 8. Rapid increase in height occurs. Same as in body. 9. Feelings and sexual drives associated with adulthood begin to develop. Same as in body. All the changes which occur in boys and girls at puberty are brought about by various hormones. When a boy or girl reaches puberty, he or she becomes an adolescent. Adolescence continues until the age of about 18 or 19 years when the growth stops and the person becomes a changes at puberty. Puberty marks the beginning of the reproductive period when one becomes capable of reproduction. Here, we will discuss some of the changes which take place in adolescent boys and girls at puberty. Increase in height. The most clearly visible change during puberty is the sudden increase in the height of boys and girls. At the time of puberty, the long bones, the bones of arms and legs, elongate or lengthen and make a person tall. Thus, children gain a lot of height during puberty. Initially, girls grow faster than boys, but by about 18 years of age, both boys and girls reach their maximum height. Generally, the maximum height of girls is slightly less than that of boys. The rate of growth in height varies in different persons. Some boys and girls may grow suddenly at puberty and then slow down, while others may grow gradually. All the parts of the body do not grow at the same rate. Sometimes the arms and legs, or hands and feet of adolescent boys and girls look oversized and out of proportion with the body. But soon the other parts catch up with them in growth. This results in a more proportionate body. The average rate of growth in height of boys and girls with age is given in the following table. Percentage of full height. Age. Boys. Girls. 8 years. 72%. 77%. 9 years. 75%. 81%. 10 years. 78%. 84%. 11 years. 81%. 88%. 12 years. 84%. 91%. 13 years. 88%. 95%. 14 years. 92%. 98%. 15 years. 95%. 99%. 16 years. 98%. 99.5%. 17 years. 99%. 100%. 18 years. 100%. 100%. The figures given in second and third column of the above table tell us the percentage of full height which a person, boy or girl, has reached at the age given in the first column. For example, at the age of 12 years, a boy reaches only 84% of his full height whereas a girl reaches 91% of her full height. Note that the figures on the rate of growth in height given in the above table are only indicative. There may be variations from person to person. By using the data given in the above table, we can draw a graph to show the variation in the percentage of full height in boys and girls with age. We take age on x-axis and percentage of full height on y-axis, and plot the various readings given in the above table on the graph paper. The graph thus obtained is shown in figure ahead. We can see from the graph shown in figure that initially the height of girls increases at a faster rate than that of boys, but by about 18 years of age, both boys and girls reach their maximum height. Graph showing the variation of percentage of full height with age in boys and girls. Percentage of full height. Age, in years. Girls. Boys. By using the graph shown in figure, we can find out the percentage of full height of a boy or girl at any age, say 12.5 years. We can also calculate the full height which a boy or girl might eventually reach. This will become more clear from the following description. If we know the present height of a boy or girl, and the percentage of his, or her, full height at present age, we can calculate the full height of the person which he, or she, will eventually reach. This can be done by using the formula. Full height of a person equals present height of the person upon percentage of full height at present age multiply 100. We can use the unit of centimeter or meter for height. The calculation of full height of a person, boy or girl, will become clear from the following example. Example, a 10-year-old boy is 125 centimeters tall. If the present height of the boy is 78% of his full height, calculate the full height which the boy will eventually reach at the end of growth period. Solution. Here, present height of boy equals 125 centimeters. Percentage of full height equals 78. So, full height of the boy equals present height of the boy upon percentage of full height at present age multiply 100 equals 125 upon 78 multiply 100 cm equals 160.25 cm. Thus, the full height of boy will be 160.25 centimeters. Note that the height of a person depends on the genes inherited from the parents. For example, both the parents, or one of the parents, are very tall. The son or daughter is likely to be very tall. The height of a person is more or less similar to that of some family member. Small boys and girls have the same body shape, so they look alike. Grown-up boys and girls have different body shapes, so they look different. Change in body shape and appearance. We know that when a child is small, sometimes it becomes difficult to tell from appearance whether it is a boy or a girl. This is because small boys and girls have the same body shape. So, it is usually the type of clothes worn by a small child which help us in telling whether it is a boy or a girl, and not its body shape. When puberty sets in, a time of rapid changes in body shape and appearance starts in boys and girls which make the boys and girls look different from one another. Actually, testes in boy and ovaries in girls make different hormones which make the bodies of boys and girls to develop in different ways. So, the changes in body shape occurring in adolescent boys and girls at puberty are different. Some of the changes in body shape and appearance in boys and girls brought about by the onset of puberty are as follows. 1. Boys develop broader shoulders and wider chests than girls. 2. Girls develop broader hips than boys. Due to this, the region below the waist becomes wider in girls. 3. Boys develop more muscle than girls. So, the body of boys looks more muscular than that of girls. 4. Girls develop breasts. This also changes the body shape of grown-up girls and makes them look different from boys. 5. Boys develop Adam's apple, a bulge in front of throat, which makes them look different from girls. 6. Boys develop facial hair, mustache and beard, but the girls do not have facial hair. So, growth of facial hair makes boys look different from girls. Change in voice. When we are talking, our voice, or sound, is produced by the voice box. The voice box is in our throat. Voice box bar is also called larynx. At puberty, the voice box, or larynx, begins to grow in boys as well as in girls. The growth of voice box in boys is much more than the growth of voice box in girls. Due to this, the voice box in boys becomes much bigger than the voice box in girls. This means that the grown-up boys have a bigger voice box in their throat, whereas grown-up girls have a smaller voice box in their throats. The bigger voice box in boys gives deeper voice, or low-pitched voice, to the boys. Thus, the voice of boys changes at puberty and becomes deeper because their voice box is enlarged too much and become bigger in size. The bigger, or larger, voice box in a grown-up boy can be seen as a bulge, or projection, in front of the throat, or neck. The bulge or projection at the front of throat or neck in grown-up boys is called Adam's apple. Adam's apple is formed in grown-up boys because of their bigger voice box in the throat. It is called an Adam's apple after the story of Adam, the first man created by God, and Eve, the first woman created by God, described in Bible, in which Adam ate a piece of forbidden fruit, apple, in the Garden of Eden, which got stuck in his throat. An Adam's apple sometimes looks like a small rounded apple just under the skin in front of the throat. Thus, Adam's apple is a feature of throat, or neck, of grown-up boys. It is a bulge, or bump, in the throat or neck. A rough and harsh voice is called hoarse voice. In Hindi, hoarse voice is called phati awaz. In adolescent boys, sometimes the muscles of the growing voice box go out of control, due to which their voice becomes hoarse. This state of hoarseness of voice may remain for a few days or few weeks, after which the voice becomes normal. During this time, the vocal cords of the voice box, or larynx, get adjusted to the new, bigger size of the voice box. In girls, the voice box, or larynx, is comparatively small in size, due to which it is hardly visible from outside. So, girls do not develop Adam's apple at puberty. The smaller voice box in girls gives shrill voice, high-pitched voice, to the girls. Adam's apple in a grown-up boy. Pimples and acne on the face. Before further discussion, we should know the meaning of the terms such as pimples, acne, sebaceous glands and sweat glands. Pimples are small red spots on the face of a person. Acne is a skin condition marked by the eruption of numerous red pimples on the face. Sebaceous glands are the small glands in the skin which secrete an oil, called sebum, through skin pores to lubricate and protect the surface of skin. Sebaceous glands are commonly known as oil glands. Sweat glands are the tiny glands in the skin which secrete sweat, pasina. Many young boys and girls get pimples and acne on the face during puberty. The pimples and acne are formed due to the increased activity of sebaceous glands and sweat glands present in the skin. This happens because the level of hormones in boys and girls rises too much at puberty. These hormones stimulate the sebaceous glands and sweat glands present in the skin. The increased activity of sebaceous glands, oil glands, causes them to secrete more oil, and the increased activity of sweat glands makes them secrete more sweat. The excess oil and sweat get collected in the tiny pores of the skin. The accumulation of oil, sweat and dead skin cells blocks the tiny pores in the skin of the face. Bacteria grow in the mixture of oil, sweat and dead skin cells in the blocked skin pores causing the swelling and redness of skin which leads to the formation of pimples. Thus, pimples are caused by the clogged and infected skin pores. When outbreaks of too many pimples occur often, it is considered. Pimples and acne occur most commonly during adolescence. In most boys and girls, pimples and acne diminish over time and tend to disappear by the time one reaches the age of 18 or 19 years. In some, they continue into adulthood. Many adolescent boys and girls get pimples on the face during puberty. Development of sex organs. The onset of puberty brings about complete growth and development of sex organs in boys and girls due to which their reproductive systems start functioning at this stage. For example, 1. At puberty, the male sex organs like testes and penis enlarge and develop completely. The testes begin to produce male sex cells called sperms at puberty. This makes the male, boy's, reproductive system functional at puberty. 2. At puberty, the female sex organs like ovaries, oviducts and uterus enlarge and develop completely. The eggs, or ova, begin to mature at this stage. The ovaries start releasing mature eggs, or ova, at puberty. This makes the female, girl's, reproductive system functional at puberty. Reaching full maturity, mental, intellectual and emotional. When a person reaches puberty, he or she becomes an adolescent. Adolescence continues up to the age of 18 or 19 years. During adolescence, a boy or girl reaches mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. Adolescence is a period which brings maturity in a person's way of thinking. At this stage, adolescent boys and girls spend considerable time thinking about many things occurring in their minds. During adolescence, mental maturity makes the boys and girls more independent than before. Adolescence is a period which also brings intellectual maturity. Due to intellectual development, the boys and girls get into the habit of reasoning and understanding things objectively. In fact, adolescence is the time in one's life when the brain has the greatest capacity for learning. The changes which occur in the body of boys and girls during adolescence may cause emotional swings. These emotional swings show intense feelings such as joy, anger, boredom, worries or sadness which are not based on reasoning or knowledge. The adolescents also become self-conscious, unduly aware of one's actions leading to nervousness. Sometimes, the adolescents feel insecure, not confident, while trying to adjust to the changes in body and mind. There is, however, no reason to feel insecure. This is called emotional maturity. The changes which take place in body and mind during adolescence are a natural part of the growing up process. Every human being has to pass through this stage. Our parents have passed through this stage, now we are passing through this stage, and one day our children will also pass through this stage in their life. Secondary sexual characteristics in human beings. There are two types of sexual characteristics, or sex characteristics, in human beings: primary sexual characteristics and secondary sexual characteristics. The sexual characteristics which are present at birth are called primary sexual characteristics. Primary sexual characteristics include internal and external sex organs which are present in babies at the time of their birth. The primary sexual characteristics in males, or boys, are testes, penis and seminal vesicles, etc. The primary sexual characteristics in females, or girls, are ovaries, oviducts, uterus and vagina, etc. The primary sexual characteristics are directly involved in reproduction. The sexual characteristics controlled by hormones which distinguish between sexually mature males and females, sexually mature boys and girls, but are not directly involved in reproduction, are called secondary sexual characteristics. In secondary sexual characteristics, the body parts, other than sex organs, develop special features which make it easier to distinguish a boy from a girl. For example, the growth of facial hair like mustache and beard in boys is a secondary sexual characteristic which helps to distinguish between a mature boy and a girl, because facial hair do not grow in girls. Similarly, the development of breasts in girls is a secondary sexual characteristic which helps to distinguish a girl from a boy, because boys do not develop breasts. The secondary sexual characteristics start developing at the time of puberty and continue to develop through the period of adolescence. The secondary sexual characteristics in boys are produced by the male sex hormone called testosterone made in testes. The secondary sexual characteristics in girls are produced by the female sex hormone called estrogen made in ovaries. Hormones. There is the great role of hormones in initiating reproductive functions. Hormones are the chemical substances which coordinate the activities of living organisms, including human beings, and also their growth. Hormones are made and secreted by specialized tissues in the body called endocrine glands. The hormones are poured directly into the blood and carried throughout the body by the blood circulatory system. The hormones act on specific tissues or specific organs in the body called target sites. A hormone is produced by an endocrine gland in one part of human body but causes a particular effect in another part of the body. Hormones are of many different types and perform different functions in the body. The hormones involved in the development and control of the reproductive organs and secondary sexual characteristics are called sex hormones. The two common sex hormones are testosterone and estrogen, also spelled as estrogen. Exocrine glands. A gland is a structure which secretes a specific substance or substances in the body. A gland is made up of a group of cells or tissue. There are two types of glands in our body, exocrine glands and endocrine glands. A gland which secretes its product into a duct or tube is called an exocrine gland. So, exocrine glands are the glands having ducts. For example, the salivary gland secretes its product, saliva, into a duct called salivary duct. Therefore, salivary gland is an exocrine gland. Sweat glands and sebaceous glands, or oil glands, are also exocrine glands which release their secretions through ducts. Endocrine glands. A gland which does not have a duct and secretes its product directly into the bloodstream is called an endocrine gland. Thus, endocrine glands are ductless glands. An endocrine gland makes and secretes a chemical substance called hormone. Some of the examples of endocrine glands or ductless glands in our body are pituitary gland, thyroid gland and adrenal glands. Some of the glands in our body function both as endocrine glands as well as exocrine glands. For example, pancreas, testes and ovaries function as endocrine glands as well as exocrine glands. Endocrine glands release their hormones directly into the bloodstream of a person. These hormones reach the concerned body part, called target site, through the blood and act on it. Role of hormones in initiating reproductive functions. We know that the changes which occur at adolescence are controlled by hormones. In other words, the onset of puberty is controlled by hormones. Puberty begins with a sudden increase in the production of hormones in the body which cause a number of changes in boys and girls. Testes and ovaries are the real reproductive organs in humans. The testes and ovaries produce sex cells or gametes, sperms, and egg or ova. In addition to producing gametes, sperms and egg, testes and ovaries produce sex hormones which bring about changes in the bodies of boys, males, and girls, females, at puberty, and make their reproductive systems functional. The testes make male sex hormone called testosterone. The ovaries make female sex hormone called estrogen. The production of these sex hormones is under the control of another hormone, called gonadotropin hormone, secreted by pituitary gland. The production of sex hormones testosterone and estrogen increase dramatically at the stage of human growth called puberty. This rise in the level of sex hormones is responsible for the changes in the bodies of adolescent boys and girls at puberty. The hormones from pituitary gland stimulate testes to release male sex hormone testosterone at the onset of puberty in boys. Testosterone hormone performs the following functions. 1. Produces male secondary sexual characteristics in boys at puberty, such as deeper voice, growth of facial hair like mustache and beard, broad shoulders and chest, Adam's apple and more muscles. 2. Causes the growth and development of male sex organs at puberty. 3. Causes growth spurt in boys at puberty. 2. The hormones from pituitary gland stimulate ovaries to release the female sex hormone estrogen at the onset of puberty in girls. Estrogen hormone performs the following functions. 1. Produces female secondary sexual characteristics in girls at puberty, such as shrill voice, development of breasts and broader hips. 2. Causes the growth and development of female sex organs at puberty. 3. Brings about the monthly preparation of uterus for pregnancy. The pituitary gland secretes many hormones. One of these hormones stimulates the formation of spermous testes and maturation of egg cells, or ova, in ovaries. Yet another hormone develops the mammary glands, milk-producing glands, inside the breasts. Reproductive phase of life in human beings. Adolescent boys grow and become men. Adolescent girls grow and become women. Adolescents become capable of reproduction at puberty when their testes and ovaries begin to produce gametes estrogen. The production of these sex hormones is under the control of another hormone, called sperms and eggs. In men, the capacity to produce male gametes, or sperms, usually lasts throughout life. But in women, the capacity to produce female gametes, eggs or ova, lasts only up to about 45 to 50 years of age. Due to this, the reproductive phase of life in men, or males, lasts much longer than in women, or females. Here, we will discuss the reproductive phase of life in human females, or women. In females, or women, the reproductive phase of life begins at puberty, 10 to 12 years of age, and generally lasts till the age of approximately 45 to 50 years. With the onset of puberty, the eggs, or ova, begin to mature in the ovaries of a woman. One mature egg, or ovum, is released by one of the ovaries of the woman once in about 28 to 30 days. During this period, the inner lining of uterus grows and becomes thick and spongy, and prepares itself to receive the fertilized egg. So, in case the fertilization of egg cell occurs via sperm, the fertilized egg cell begins to divide to form an embryo. The embryo then gets embedded in the thick uterus lining. This results in pregnancy, which ultimately leads to the birth of a baby. A thick lining grows in the uterus to receive the fertilized egg cell, if any. Thick lining of uterus. In case the egg cell is not fertilized, the thick uterus lining breaks down, leading to bleeding. This is called menstruation, or period. Thick lining of uterus breakdown. Bleeding occurs. If fertilization does not occur, due to lack of sperm, then the egg released by the ovary dies within a few days and the thick lining breaks down, because it is no longer required. Since the thick uterus lining contains a lot of blood vessels, therefore, the breaking down, or disintegration, of uterus lining produces blood along with other tissues. This blood and other tissues come out of vagina of woman in the form of a bleeding. The bleeding from the uterus, which occurs in a woman, or mature girl, every month, if the egg cell has not been fertilized, is called menstrual flow or menstruation. Menstruation occurs once in about 28 to 30 days, which is almost a month. Menstruation occurs every 28 to 30 days because ovulation, release of egg or ovum by the ovary of woman, occurs after every 28 to 30 days. In everyday language, menstruation is called monthly periods or just periods. It is also called menses. Menstruation, or periods, usually lasts for about 3 to 5 days in a month. The first menstruation, or menstrual flow, begins at puberty, when the girl or woman is around 12 to 14 years of age. The first occurrence of menstruation, or periods, at puberty is called menarche. Menarche is the beginning of the reproductive life of a girl, or woman. In other words, menarche is the time from which a girl, or woman, becomes capable of having a baby. Menstruation stops temporarily when a woman becomes pregnant. Menstruation restarts after the birth of the baby. Menstruation stops permanently when a woman reaches the age of about 45 to 50 years. With the permanent stoppage of menstruation, a woman loses her ability to bear children. The permanent stoppage of menstruation, or periods, in a woman is called menopause. Menopause occurs in women at the age of about 45 to 50 years. A woman stops ovulating at menopause and can no longer become pregnant. Menopause is the end of the reproductive life of a woman. Thus, the reproductive life of a woman starts at menarche and ends at menopause. Menstrual cycle. The process of ovulation and menstruation in women is called menstrual cycle because it occurs again and again after a fixed time period. The menstrual cycle is a period of about 28 to 30 days during which an egg cell, or ovum, matures. The mature egg cell is released by the ovary, thickening of uterus lining takes place, and finally the uterus lining breaks down causing bleeding in women if the egg cell has not been fertilized. Initially, the menstrual cycle in girls may be irregular. It may not be of 28 to 30 days. It becomes regular after some time. Menstrual cycle in women is controlled by hormones. Here, we will discuss the determination of sex in human beings, which involves the role of sex chromosomes. Sex chromosomes and sex determination. Chromosomes are present inside the nucleus of every cell of the human body. All the human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes in the nuclei of their normal body cells. Out of these 23 pairs of chromosomes, one pair of chromosomes, or two chromosomes, are called sex chromosomes. The two chromosomes that determine the sex of an offspring, or baby, are called sex chromosomes. The two sex chromosomes are named X chromosome and Y chromosome. The gametes, or sex cells, are not normal body cells. They are special cells called reproductive cells. The gametes contain only 23 single chromosomes and hence they have only one of the two sex chromosomes, X or Y, that exist in the normal body cells. In females, or women, all the gametes or all the egg cells, ova, contain X chromosomes. Females, or women, have no Y chromosomes in their gametes, egg cells or ova. On the other hand, in males, or men, half of gametes, or sperms, have X chromosomes and half of gametes, or sperms, have Y chromosomes. The baby developed from 20 combination of sex chromosomes in zygote is a girl, and the baby developed from Y combination of sex chromosomes in zygote will be a boy. Let us discuss this in detail. When a woman gives birth to a baby, it can be a boy, male, or a girl, female. The sex of a baby to be born is decided at the moment the egg cell of woman, mother, gets fertilized by the sperm of man, father, and pregnancy occurs. This is because the instructions for determining the sex of baby, whether it will be a boy or girl, are present in the sex chromosomes which are in the nucleus of the fertilized egg called zygote. The sex of baby is determined by the type of sex chromosomes present in the fertilized egg, or zygote, from which the baby develops. This will become more clear from the following discussion. 1. A female, woman or mother, has only X chromosomes in all her gametes called eggs, or ova. This means that all the female gametes called eggs, or ova, have only X chromosomes. 2. A male, man or father, has X chromosomes as well as Y chromosomes in male gametes called sperms. Actually, half the male gametes or sperms have X chromosomes and the other half of male gametes or sperms have Y chromosomes. If a sperm carrying X chromosome fertilizes an egg cell, or ovum, which carries X chromosome, then the zygote formed will have 20 combination of sex chromosomes due to which the child born will be a girl, or female. Determination of sex in human beings. Mother's eggs, or ova, all X. 20 zygote, female child girl. Father sperms, half X, half Y. Zygote, male child boy. If a sperm carrying Y chromosome fertilizes an egg cell, or ovum, which carries X chromosome, then the zygote formed will have Y combination of sex chromosomes due to which the child born will be a boy, or male. Thus, the sex of unborn child, or unborn baby, depends on whether the zygote formed at the time of fertilization has 20 combination of sex chromosomes or Y combination of sex chromosomes. 20 combination of sex chromosomes makes the child a girl, whereas a Y combination of sex chromosomes makes the child a boy. It is the sperm of man which determines the sex of child. This is because half of the sperms have X chromosomes and the other half have Y chromosomes. Thus, there is a 50% chance of a boy and a 50% chance of a girl being born to the parents. This is why the human population is roughly half males and half females. The egg cells, or ova, of woman cannot decide the sex of the child because all the egg cells, or ova, contain the same sex chromosome, X chromosome. Thus, we conclude that if the father, man or husband, contributes sex chromosome at fertilization through his sperm, the baby born will be a girl. On the other hand, if the father, man or husband, contributes a Y-sex chromosome at fertilization through his sperm, then the baby born will be a boy. This means that it is the sex chromosome contributed by father, man or husband, which decides the sex of the baby which the mother, woman or wife, will give birth to. Thus, father, man or husband, is responsible for the sex of the baby, boy or girl, which is born. The belief that mother, woman or wife, is responsible for the sex of her baby is absolutely wrong. Myths and taboos regarding reproduction. In many ignorant Indian families, the mother, woman or wife, is held responsible for the birth of a girl child and unnecessarily harassed. Such people should understand that it is the husband who is responsible for the birth of a girl child, and not his wife. Moreover, a girl is no less than a boy. A widely held but false belief is known as myth, and something prohibited by social customs is called taboo. We will now describe some myths and taboos related to the process of reproduction in humans. We have learnt the scientific facts related to the process of reproduction in humans. There are, however, some wrong notions or beliefs in the minds of many people connected with the process of reproduction, especially in relation to girls or women, which are based on ignorance of facts. 1. An important myth, wrong belief, in the minds of many people is that mother is responsible for the sex of her child, male or female. This is absolutely wrong. The scientific facts tell us that it is the father, or man, who is responsible for the sex of the child born, whether it is a boy or girl. It is great foolishness on the part of society to hold the mother, or woman, responsible for the sex of child born. 2. An important taboo in the minds of many people is that a girl, or woman, should not be allowed to work in the kitchen during the days of menstruation, or periods. This taboo, or custom, is also absolutely wrong. Menstruation is a natural process in girls, or women. There is absolutely no harm if a girl, or woman, works in the kitchen or goes out for other work during the days of menstruation. The only thing is that the girl, or woman, should take proper care of personal hygiene, body cleanliness, during the days of menstrual flow. Since we know the scientific facts regarding the process of reproduction in humans, it is our duty to help in eradicating, or removing, such myths and taboos from our society. Remember, God has made women to create human life. So, women should be held in high esteem in our society, while look down upon women who give birth to men. Our mother is a woman, our sister is a woman, and a man's wife is also a woman. Then why not have a woman as our daughter? It is the duty of our government as well as of our society to save, protect and educate the girl child who will become the woman of tomorrow. Reproductive health. Though reproductive health is required at all stages of life, but it is more essential during the period of adolescence when the body is growing rapidly and many changes are taking place in it. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, reproductive health is defined as a state of physical, mental and social well-being of a person in all matters relating to the reproductive system at all stages of life. Some of the important conditions to maintain good reproductive health during adolescence are given below. 1. To eat balanced diet during adolescence. 2. To maintain personal hygiene during adolescence. 3. To take adequate physical exercise during adolescence. 4. To avoid taking any drugs during adolescence. 5. To avoid the use of alcohol. We will now describe all these conditions for maintaining good reproductive health in detail, one by one. 1. Balanced diet. The food which we eat each day makes up our diet. A diet consists of many food items made from cereal grains, like wheat and rice, pulses, fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, eggs, and milk, etc. The diet which contains the correct amount of each constituent, such as carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals, sufficient for the normal growth and development of the body, and keep a person healthy, is called a balanced diet. Every human being, at any age, needs to have a balanced diet to keep the body healthy. It is all the more important to eat balanced diet, containing the right kinds of foods, during adolescence because a rapid growth and development of the body takes place during this period. A balanced diet helps the bones, muscles and other parts of the body to get adequate nourishment required for rapid growth. The various types of food items which should be included in the diet of adolescents so as to meet their nutritional needs are discussed below. Examples of types of food in a balanced diet. These include foods made from cereal grains, wheat and rice, pulses, milk, butter, eggs, meat, fish, fruits and vegetables. The diet of adolescents should include food items made from cereals, like wheat and rice, which provide carbohydrates for energy. The food items like chapati, roti, bread, and puri, made from wheat flour, and cooked rice and its preparations like dosa, idli and biryani, etc., provide us carbohydrates for energy. Sugar and jaggery, gur, also contain carbohydrates that give us energy. 2. The diet of adolescents should include fats which also give us energy. The common food items which can be included in the diet for providing fat to our body are butter, ghee, cooking oils, like groundnut oil, mustard oil, sunflower oil and coconut oil, vanaspati ghee, groundnuts and fatty meat. 3. The diet of adolescents should include food items containing proteins which are required for the growth of their body. The common food items which contain a lot of proteins are pulses, dal, peas, beans, cheese, paneer, eggs, lean meat, meat without fat, fish, milk and groundnuts. 4. The diet of adolescents should include fruits and vegetables which provide many vitamins and minerals necessary for keeping good health. Fruits and vegetables are called protective foods because they protect our body from many ailments by supplying various vitamins and minerals and help us stay healthy. For example, citrus fruits like orange, lime and lemon contain vitamin C which builds up body resistance and helps fight infection. Carrots contain vitamin A which is necessary for keeping healthy eyesight. Iron is a mineral which is necessary for making blood in the body. The iron-rich foods such as leafy vegetables, Indian gooseberry, amla, meat and jaggery, gur, are good for adolescents as they help in making blood. Milk contains a lot of calcium mineral which is necessary for making healthy bones of the growing adolescents. Our Indian meal of roti or rice, pulses, dal, and vegetables is a balanced meal. Milk is a balanced food in itself. For infants, small babies, mother's milk provides all the necessary nourishment which they need. Chips and packed or tinned snacks, though very tasty, should never be taken in place of regular meals because chips and other such snacks do not have adequate nutritional value. Similarly, other junk foods such as burgers, noodles, vegetable cutlets and soft drinks do not form part of a balanced diet. 2. Personal hygiene. Keeping our body clean is called personal hygiene. The maintenance of personal hygiene, or cleanliness, is necessary for adolescents for preventing diseases and keeping good health. The adolescents can maintain personal hygiene by adopting the following practices. Adolescent boys and girls should take bath regularly, at least once every day. Though having bath is good for everyone, it is more necessary for adolescents or teenagers because the increased activity of sweat glands and oil glands sometimes makes the body smelly. Bathing removes the sweat, oil and dirt, etc., and cleans the body. During bathing, all parts of the body should be washed and cleaned every day. 2. Adolescent girls should take special care of cleanliness of the body during the time of menstrual flow or periods. The girls should keep a track of their menstrual cycle and be prepared for the onset of menstruation. If personal hygiene or cleanliness of body is not maintained by adolescent boys and girls, there are chances of catching bacterial infections. These infections can make a person ill and spoil his/her good health. 3. Physical exercise. Physical exercise is an activity requiring physical effort which is carried out for the sake of health and fitness. All the adolescent boys and girls should do physical exercise such as brisk walking, jogging, running, swimming, cycling, dancing, playing outdoor games like hockey, football, badminton, basketball, etc., or any other type of exercise regularly. Regular physical exercise has the following good effects. I. Keeps the body fit. 2. Improves the mental health. 3. Protects a person from heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes and obesity. 4. Builds and maintains healthy muscles, bones and joints. V. Increases our efficiency in studies, sports and work. Y. Improves the general sense of well-being and makes a person feel happier. 4. No drugs. Drugs are chemical substances which when taken into the body change the functions of the body, influence the mind and sometimes even change the behavior of the person. Some of the examples of drugs are heroin, cocaine, alcohol, paracetamol and penicillin. Drugs can be swallowed, inhaled or injected into the body. Adolescence is a period of much activity in the body and mind of young boys and girls. Sometimes an adolescent boy or girl undergoes emotional swings such as feeling confused, insecure, bored, worried, stressed out, tense or angry, etc. We should not worry about such things because these emotional swings are a normal part of the growing up process and disappear automatically with time. If somebody suggests that you will get relief from confusion, tension, boredom and worries, etc., and feel better by taking some drugs, just say no, unless the drugs have been prescribed by a doctor. Drugs are very powerful chemical substances and should be used only under a doctor's supervision. Adolescent boys and girls should avoid drugs to maintain physical, mental and social well-being which are necessary to live a purposeful, fruitful and satisfying life in this world. Some of the harmful effects of taking drugs are as follows. A drug addict injecting himself with a drug. This is the beginning of a life of misery and probably an early death. I. Drugs are addictive. If you take drugs once, you feel like taking them again and again. Soon the person feels he or she cannot live without drugs and becomes a drug addict. 2. Drug addicts become irritable and lose interest in their studies or they may drop out of school or college or lose job. 3. Drugs do physical harm to the body. Drugs can damage brain, liver, lungs and kidney. In this way, drugs ruin health and happiness. 4. People taking drugs run the risk of accidents because they get confused. V. The sharing of syringes for injecting drugs spreads AIDS disease among the drug addicts. AIDS stands for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. AIDS is a dangerous disease which is caused by a virus called HIV. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. This virus is present in the blood of AIDS patients. The AIDS disease-causing virus, HIV, can be easily passed on from an infected person to a healthy person in a number of ways given below. I. AIDS virus, HIV, can pass from an infected person to a healthy person by the sharing of syringes used for injecting drugs. If a drug addict has AIDS virus in his blood and he uses a syringe for injecting drugs into his body, then the needle of this syringe will get contaminated with AIDS virus. When this syringe with contaminated needle is then used by a healthy person for injecting drugs, the AIDS virus present on the injection needle enters into his blood. In this way, the healthy person injecting drugs into his body will also get AIDS disease. 2. AIDS virus, HIV, can be transmitted to a healthy person through sexual contact with a person infected with HIV. 3. AIDS virus, HIV, can be transmitted to an infant, small baby, from the infected mother through her milk. AIDS is mainly a sexually transmitted disease. There is no cure for AIDS disease. AIDS patients die easily even from simple diseases because AIDS virus weakens the immunity of their body due to which their body cannot fight disease-causing germs. 5. No alcohol. Consuming alcohol also affects the health of an adolescent. Alcohol slows down the activity of nervous system due to which the judgment becomes impaired. Alcohol overdose may lead to injuries caused by accidents, physical disabilities and diseases in adolescence. Alcohol abuse can affect the studies of students and there is an increased chance of dropouts from school. Mental health problem like depression and feeling of loneliness, aggressive and rebellious behavior is observed among alcohol using adolescent. They are often discriminated from their peers and the mainstream society. Hormones other than sex hormones. There are many hormones other than sex hormones. Some of the important hormones, other than sex hormones, growth hormones, thyroxine, insulin and adrenaline. Growth hormone is secreted by pituitary gland, thyroxine hormone is secreted by thyroid gland. Insulin hormone is secreted by pancreas, whereas adrenaline hormone is secreted by adrenal glands. Pituitary gland, thyroid gland, pancreas and adrenal glands are found in both males as well as females. The positions of major endocrine glands in the human body are shown in figure. We will now describe the functions of the hormones other than sex hormones secreted by various endocrine glands. The positions of major endocrine glands in the human body. Pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, thymus, pancreas, adrenal glands, kidneys, testes, male, ovaries, female. Pituitary gland, or pituitary. Pituitary is an endocrine gland. Pituitary gland is attached to the base of the brain. The pituitary gland secretes a number of hormones. One of the hormones secreted by pituitary gland is the growth hormone, or human growth hormone. The growth hormone controls the growth of the human body. Like the growth of bones and muscles, proper amount of growth hormone is necessary for the normal growth of the body. A person having the deficiency of growth hormone in childhood remains very short and becomes a dwarf. On the other hand, a person having too much growth hormone becomes very tall, or a giant. Pituitary gland is the most important endocrine gland in the body. Pituitary gland is called master gland because many of the hormones which it secretes control the functioning of other endocrine glands in the body. For example, pituitary gland secretes hormones that make other endocrine glands such as testes, ovaries, thyroid gland, and adrenal glands to secrete their hormones. In other words, the testes, ovaries, thyroid gland and adrenal glands secrete their hormones when they receive orders from the pituitary gland through its hormones. Thyroid gland, or thyroid. Thyroid is a large endocrine gland in the neck. It is attached to the windpipe in our body. Thyroid gland makes a hormone called thyroxine, which contains iodine. Thyroid gland secretes its hormone, thyroxine, when it receives instructions from the pituitary gland through its hormones. Thyroxine hormone controls the rate of body's metabolism, the chemical processes which occur continuously in human body to maintain life. Thyroid gland needs a constant supply of iodine in order to produce thyroxine hormone. This iodine normally comes from the diet we eat. Since iodine is necessary for the making of thyroxine hormone, therefore, a deficiency of iodine in the diet can cause a deficiency of thyroxine hormone in the body. The deficiency of thyroxine hormone causes a disease known as goiter. Since the deficiency of thyroxine hormone is caused by a deficiency of iodine in the diet, so we can also say that the deficiency of iodine in the body causes a disease known as goiter. The main symptom of goiter disease is that the neck of the person suffering from goiter appears to be swollen. The person appears to have a big and bulging neck. Goiter is a disease of the thyroid gland. If people do not have enough iodine in their diet, they will get goiter disease caused by the lack of thyroxine hormone in the body. People are advised to use iodized salt for cooking food so as to prevent goiter disease. Iodized salt contains appropriate amount of iodine compounds, such as potassium iodide. Iodized salt can provide all the iodine needed by thyroid gland to make succinate thyroxine hormone for our body. Since there will be no deficiency of thyroxine hormone in the body, goiter cannot develop. So, the importance of consuming iodized salt is that it prevents goiter disease. A woman suffering from thyroid disease called goiter. Note the swollen neck of the woman. Pancreas. Pancreas acts as an endocrine gland as well as an exocrine gland. Pancreas is just below the stomach in our body. Pancreas secretes the hormone called insulin. The function of insulin hormone is to lower the blood sugar level, or blood glucose level. Deficiency of insulin hormone in the body causes a disease known as diabetes. Diabetes disease is characterized by large quantities of sugar in the blood and even urine. The insulin hormone controls the metabolism of sugar. If, due to some reason, pancreas does not produce and secrete sufficient amount of insulin into blood, then the sugar level in the blood rises. The high sugar level in the blood can cause many harmful effects to the body of a person. The person having high sugar level in blood or diabetes is called a diabetic. Diabetic persons are advised by doctors to take less sugar in their diet. Common diabetes can be controlled by controlling diet, reducing weight, doing regular physical exercise and taking medicines. The persons having severe diabetes are treated by giving injections of insulin. Adrenal glands or adrenals. Adrenals are endocrine glands. There are two adrenal glands in our body which are located on the top of two kidneys. The adrenal glands produce adrenaline hormone. Adrenaline is also written as adrenaline. The adrenaline hormone prepares our body to function at maximum efficiency during emergency situations like danger, fear, shock, surprise, anger or excitement, etc. When we are faced with a dangerous situation, say, like being chased by a ferocious dog, then the adrenal glands secrete more adrenaline hormone into our blood. This adrenaline hormone speeds up the heartbeat, increases breathing rate, raises blood pressure, and causes liver to release more stored glucose into the blood. All these actions of adrenaline hormone produce a lot of energy in our body very, very quickly. And this energy helps us to run away very fast from the dog to save ourselves. In this way, the adrenaline hormone prepares our body to function at maximum efficiency during the emergency situation of being chased by a ferocious dog. It is also the adrenaline hormone which prepares our body to fight an enemy, say, a burglar in our house, by providing a lot of energy in a very short time. A lot of adrenaline hormone is also secreted by adrenal glands when we are angry or excited. The rapid output of energy thus caused helps us to cope with these extreme emotional situations. The adrenal glands also produce and secrete another hormone called aldosterone. The aldosterone hormone secreted by adrenal glands maintains the correct salt balance in the blood. The adrenals or adrenal glands secrete their hormones when they receive instructions from the pituitary gland through its hormones. Keywords: adolescence. The phases of life between childhood and adulthood, from ages 10 to 19. Puberty. Sexual maturity and capability of reproduction. Menarche. The first occurrence of menstruation or periods. Menopause. The permanent stoppage of periods in a woman. Larynx. A voice box present in our throat. Pituitary gland. A small organ at the base of the brain. Adrenal gland. A small triangular-shaped gland located on top of both kidneys. Summary. A young human being below the age of full physical development is called a child. Puberty is the period during which adolescents reach sexual maturity and become capable of reproduction. Puberty tends to start earlier in girl-female than in boys-males. Boys develop broader shoulders and wider chests than girls. Pimples are caused by the clogged and infected skin pores. The testes begin to produce male sex cell called sperms at puberty. Hormones are made and secreted by specialized tissues in the body called endocrine glands. The permanent stoppage of menstruation, or period, in a woman is called menopause. Chromosomes are present inside the nucleus of every cell of the human body. Pituitary is an endocrine gland. Pancreas acts as an endocrine gland as well as an exocrine gland.